For over 2 decades, our charge at Calvary has been to build a church without walls. The church is not a building, it's not an address, it's the people. For 20 years, we've been building people who love Jesus, love each other, and love our neighbors locally and globally. And we've seen God at work, giving hope to kids in Myanmar, raising up leaders in Central PA, loving our neighbors, and making a difference on campuses throughout our region. In the last 20 years, we've gone from impacting 1 city to 4. We've helped to launch 3 different churches, and along the way, we've given millions of dollars to serve those in the margins of life here and around the world. So what's next?
What's next is our 2030 vision. In 2017, we began a process of discovering God's vision for our next chapter, and we began to dream.
We began to dream of a great movement of prayer that would see every person in our region regularly prayed for by name.
We began to dream of restoring marriages, nurturing families, and seeing 1,000 children and students make a decision to follow Jesus.
We began to dream of sending thousands of front yard missionaries to be Jesus on every campus, every workplace, and every neighborhood in Central PA.
We began to dream of being a catalyst for revival at Penn State and every school in our region.
Ultimately, those dreams led to our 2030 vision. It is our vision to be part of a movement, to see the number of Jesus-Apprentices in Central PA double by 2030. In the process, catalyzing an epic release of leaders.
So what's next? What's next is a step of faith into a journey of uncertainty, where nothing will be more important than the gracious hand of God upon us, blessing us so we can bless others. What's next?
What's next is the Christ call to be the church, an opportunity to experience the soul-stretching joy of being part of a team engaged in a mission to give living proof of a loving God to the 340,000 people in Central PA with no church connection, especially in the next generation.
What's next? What's next is an opportunity to be a pioneering church, seeking to innovate the shape of the next church of Christ's future, a church that will reach the generations to come. How will we get to what's next?
Together. For the next 7 years, we'll pray like never before. Together.
For the next 7 years, we'll love the next generation like never before. And whatever is next, we'll get there by His hand together.
So what's the next step? In our next initiative, we have 3 goals.
Number 1 is we will prioritize the next generation. We will passionately pursue the good of the next generation, helping them love Jesus and lead the church into all God has for us in the decades to come.
Number 2, we will bless every neighbor in our communities. We will pray like crazy and grow in generosity. We will step in faith and live in God's overflow. And we will share Jesus with our hashtag.
Number 3, we will prepare in faith for the fulfillment of the 2030 vision. We will begin to pay off debt, design structures, gather resources, and start gatherings that will prepare us for revival and for a doubling of Christ's followers in Central PA.
Over 65 years ago, 18 people gathered for Calvary's very first worship service in a dance hall called Woodman Hall. 4 years later, 15 people signed on as charter members. Not a huge start. And it wasn't easy, but over the course of the years, God has blessed. And in 2018, God led us to our 2030 vision, and we were on a roll. 8 worship services in 5 different locations. We had 2,400 people at our Christmas Eve services in 2019, and then COVID hit. And if you look at the numbers, it seems like we're further from our vision now than when we started. But over and over again, the last few years, I've had this simple sense of the whisper of God saying, Dan, don't settle. Ask me for more. And I'm asking you to do that with me. Ask Him for more. That's what's next.